Hello, everyone. My name is Nelly Sattari. I am a Microsoft Azure MVP, and I'm a lead developer from Challenger. I'm here today to ask you two questions, two challenging questions. If you are a developer, have you ever tried to drive the innovation upward without waiting for innovation to just happen? And if you are a leader, do you think it's possible to innovate without having constructively disruptive people in the team who are passionate learners? I want to share my observations with you today about how I think that innovation and cultures are quite interdependent, and they are like two sides of the same coin. Well, let me tell you how I think about innovation and tell you one story. I used to think many years ago that innovation is not for me. It's far from me. And I'm sure this is the feeling that many people in the organizations have today. And we think that innovation is for someone else to do, not me. Till I met someone. My grandmother, like 20 years ago, she was diagnosed by chronic disease, which was diabetes, and we had to take her to the hospital every day. It was a pain for her, and you can imagine how, frustrating it was for the family as well. Till we came across a new device, which was much simpler, smaller, more affordable, and it basically translated the numbers to the colors, so even old people could easily read the numbers. It changed everything for us. Well, I went to the digital exhibition as a student, and I came across the person who built this device and who initiated this idea. I was so surprised and impressed because he wasn't an artist, he wasn't a scientist, he wasn't Einstein, but he was a young engineer whose innovation basically changed lots of things in my family and many others. Well, at that day, I learned that if he could do it, probably I can do it too. I'm an engineer as well. And I start realizing that innovation is accessible for everyone. You just need to see and learn how to unleash your innovation. Well, now that I look back, I can summarize whatever we discussed over, I think, over 40 minutes together in one word, and that word is Kaizen. Kaizen is a Japanese philosophy which talks about finding the problems, and finding the solutions, breaking down the solutions into the smaller steps, and keep improving your idea. And honestly, to me, that's the way we can flourish the innovation and unleash the innovation. Well, this basically attitude needs people. You cannot really rely on the technology to get to know the solutions, problems, and implementing them. It means that you need to be a learner, and I don't talk about learning technologies and tools. I'm talking about being a lifetime learner. I have a friend, she's telling me always that, Nelly, you are too patient, and I am. The reason is I'm a lifetime learner. I have to be patient, otherwise how can I learn from different situations? The reason I'm saying I'm a learner is the way I solve all my problems in the life is through the learning. I keep asking these questions, why it happened to me, how I can solve it, and how I can learn through this situation. And to be honest, I'm the most disruptive person in the team because I keep asking people why we are doing this, how we can do it better, and I keep looking for the problems to improve. I'm still quite newbie to innovation, to build this culture of innovation around me, but still I found this skill the most important things for me in my whole career. Well, here I am with a coin in my hand. One side is learning, the other side is innovation. And the question, which is the most important question, and I keep asking myself every day, is how I can make sure that these two, like innovation and learning, are quite connected and keep improving each other. And I try to answer this question today, even if it's smaller steps. Well, over the last 15 years that I've been working in different organizations, in different countries, cultures, with different peoples and businesses, I learned that I can categorize the companies in terms of, in regard to the innovation and learning into 3 different groups. Cool ones, who are the ones that don't really prioritize the innovation, they don't look into it. They mostly cannot retain their employees and, satisfy their customers, which is fair enough. The next group are the one in between, lukewarm. They, and the majority of companies are in this group. They actually haven't adopted and fostered the innovation yet, but they are learning, they're trying, and that's important. And the last group, which is the ones who already embrace the innovations, we can find them mostly in the thought leaders companies, like technology leaders, startups, and open source communities. Well, I learned different lessons from each group, and they are all around how we can potentially build this cycle of innovation to find the problem, find the solution, and implement them. That's what all my learning are. And the first lesson that I learned from the different organizations was from the scale of organizations to how find the problems. Well, I was working in the startup company when I started my work, and it was a small company. We didn't have any problem to adopt any kind of technology as long as they are cool. And potentially, we could apply anything because the systems were small, the team were small, and we didn't have really problem. The risk was low. And we know the business and problems, so we could potentially solve the problems easily. Moving to the bigger organizations, I learned that things are not easy as the small companies. I can't really go and tell to my boss that here is a cool technology, let's do it. Big organizations always looking for adding value to the business. So your proposal should have some value proposition. You should solve some problem. You should increase, like the revenue or, I don't know, some problems. You need to solve them. Otherwise, why you need to introduce a new thing? It is costly. Well, it was a problem because in the bigger organizations, every problems are broken down into smaller problems to make it more manageable for people and to make it less complex. And basically, we call it task-driven. So when everyone are task-driven, it's really hard to see the big picture, the whole picture, and you basically lose the connection with the holistic view of your business. So I couldn't see any problem to solve it, and I felt I'm less innovative these days, and I have to do something for it. So through the perspective of a learner person, I was thinking, what should I do as a developer? What can I do? I started to come out of my comfort zone and look at some leadership skills. And I realized that the system thinking is something that I need to look at. System thinking is about telling you how to connect yourself again to the bigger picture and reassemble your perspective about the business. Well, what I was doing was just getting out of my chair, took off my headphone, and go and talk to people from the business. I had to talk to people to see what's going on in the business. I talked to many people from different parts of the business and started to look what's their goal, what's their problems, and keep talking to everyone. And I know that this is potentially something that the leaders should look into it and provide it, and they've done their part. But I always believe in a collective effort. I don't really sit to wait for someone else to do something. So as to contribute as a developer, that's what I was doing. And through this journey, I could even educate my business that here are some technologies and solutions. Let's think about them and see how we can define new projects to use these ones to solve our problems. And they were so excited because they never could establish these relations with their developers. They feel that we are talking two different languages. So it was, educating for me and them as well. And I asked them to engage me in the stakeholder sessions, and I could see the problems in the earlier stage, and I can think about the solutions. Well, over this journey that was really working for me, I learned that we need to have a better sharing culture. We need to improve it. Otherwise, why people should spend time for me to invest in my learning? So I was thinking how I can do something to make this sharing culture improved in my whole company. And here are the lessons that I learned from the community. By community, I mean meetups, user groups, conferences, and this sort of gathering. Well, I joined the communities initially to increase my technical knowledge, because moving to the bigger organizations, I learned that everything like a dominoes. When you touch something, everything else is just impacted. So I needed broader knowledge and multidimensional knowledge to make sure that what I touch, don't really hurt the other systems and parts. But that was my initial reason. As a perspective of a learner, I learned that I can pick a lot more from the community beyond this technology and tools. I learned that how organizers in the user groups and community spend time and how dedicated they are to support the learning of people in the community. That was amazing how they spend their personal time to do it. And people are happy to come and discuss and share and integrate the learning into their career. So I was thinking, yes, that's what I want. I need to have the internal community in my company. Then people have the safe environment to sit and talk and share, so we can increase this sharing culture. And what I've done was running some sessions, like the sharing knowledge sessions, over lunchtime. And we called it brown bag, as simple as having the lunch together. It was started from the smallest step, as Kaizen said, according to the Kaizen. We started with, I think, 10 people in the room, and then over 1 year, which we have done it every week, it increased to have like more than 30–40% of the whole IT in the room. That was the problem for me. It was a problem for me because I couldn't find big room. Everyone was enjoying these sessions, and I tested and measured how it works. And my measurements showed that through the surveys and talking to people, they were so motivated. They were basically, they were feeling that they have something to learn and then apply on the problems that they have. And we had a little bit improvement from the, in compared to the communities, because I didn't want to just talk about technology. I wanted to correlate the technologies to the problems. So we sit together with business leaders, technical people in one room, and we discuss about the technology, but at the end, we try to see how this technology can solve problems in the organizations. So it was a real sharing sessions. And obviously, people as I told you, were motivated, much more motivated, and they now had some connection with the whole picture, so they were thinking about the solutions. And the whole thing that we did was about integrating the learning into the company, so we could deliver much better solutions. And the solutions that we delivered over last year was much better than the ones we had before. And I should acknowledge that we have a great supportive community here. Here in this room, I can see some of the speakers that I invited from the community, and they were happily accepted and come to our sessions. And even Microsoft, they were amazingly helping us to build this internal community and sharing, and supporting us. Well, we have the problem, we have the solution. The most important and the hardest thing is implementing the solutions. And I tell you why. Because it has something to do with human mindset. As I told you, I've been in IT for 15 years, experienced different levels of expertise as a developer, and I feel I'm quite confident in what I do. However, whenever I want to start a new unknown solution, I feel uncomfortable. And it's not only me, whole our team feeling the same way. I was wondering why it's happening, why people are so, they are frightened. I don't know what's happening. I need to discover. So I started to investigate, and I realized that there is a syndrome which is called emotional ambivalence. Based on this syndrome, humans don't normally experience, like the pure emotions. We always have contradictory feelings toward the same thing. For example, you want to go take a new job, you are so happy and excited. At the same time, you're sad because you're losing your friends. You are nervous because you don't know if this new job really works for you or not, or you feel comfortable or not. This kind of fears send a signal to your brain. Different emotions send different signals. Emotion, which is fear, sending the signal of risk. And in the risky environment, you always try to take the conservative options. And it impacts your innovation. So the fear of failure, fear of blaming culture, fear of losing credibility, all these feelings just push the people through the safer options, which is not really helping in innovation. So what is the solution? The best one that I found is providing the safe-to-fail environment. So when we talk about safe-to-fail environment, probably the leaders with growth mindset, they potentially know that when any idea is started as an innovative idea, it is started from a hypothesis. In theory, it should work, but you don't know. Without experimenting and trying your idea, you wouldn't know if the result is failure or success. And it doesn't really matter for the growth mindsets. Because whatever the result is, the more important thing is you learned. And that's the deepest way of learning through the experiment. And those leaders are happy to provide this situation for us. Well, as usual, I don't believe in leaving the things in one group. I always believe in collective effort. So what can I do as a developer to provide this safe-to-fail environment? I did a little bit investigation, and I figured out probably the best way is following the extreme programming principles and agile principles. Well, POC, for example. I never touch any solution. I never introduce any things to the company which I'm not sure how it works. It's risky. I just hurt the organization. I always keep defining the POCs, proof of concept, in my backlog, and then I start testing with them. Here is Kaizen again. You implement your idea in a smaller scale, you make sure it works, and then you apply it in a bigger size, so you keep improving it. Or, for example, some agile practices like retro sessions. Retro sessions is really amazing because it makes the team far away from blaming culture. When you sit together, you review what's happening over last sprint or so. You really learn from your experience, so you just get away from the blaming culture. Or any pair programming, team learning, these sort of things, that two heads are better than one. You just sit together and share your knowledge with your team. It's the way you can improve the beginner expertise as well. And I know that some developers are not really happy to share their time with other people, but that's the way. We need to take one step to improve the learning culture of our organization. And obviously, the last step for me is whenever I want to introduce a new solution, I reach out to my network who are supportive and knowledgeable, and I build them over time. And I ask who has done this, problem and solution before, who has faced this same solution and problem. And I invite them to my team, and we talk to them, and we ask questions. So bringing the community and outside to your team inside the company is just an amazing approach. You wouldn't be innovative without knowing what other people do. Well, getting back to this question, I want to ask you to think about this question, because I told my answer by showing some examples and some small steps that I took to increase the learning culture and innovation culture. And probably your answers would be different based on who you are. And the more important thing is, if we can learn the innovation, we definitely can forget it as well if we don't focus on it. Something that I want to refer to Stephen in the morning talk is that the people are the heart of innovation. We can buy devices, technologies, tools for our company, but we cannot buy innovation. Innovation is something that we can make it. People should make it through the process of learning. It's about people, and it's about passionate learner people. So if you are a developer, if you can be an agent of change in your team, don't hesitate to do that. It's definitely working for you. And if you are a leader, if you have passionate learners in your team, please provide some opportunities for them to learn and to try their ideas and to get better innovators. And the beauty of innovation is innovation doesn't have any limit. So even if you take one step to get closer to the learning or innovation, that step is worthwhile. You are still closer to the innovation. There is no limit to say, okay, you reached innovation or not. That's the continuous process. And once we realize how important it is to improve the culture of learning in our company, we make time for it, we make it priority, and we make it happen. Thanks for listening to me. Have a great day.